Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or tea, sit back and relax, and let's chat about the energy of the day. So, as I did in my post this week, I mentioned that this was really kind of an easy week. We don't have a lot of the, pounding sort of transits that we've had in the past. And in fact, for this month, we don't really have that kind of energy until we get into the third week. And then that'll be a different story. But for this week, we have some really nice energy. And today is not an exception to that. It is a day that is fairly quiet in the grand scheme of things, right? No real major big things happening. But there are, again, some many little things happening sort of in behind the scenes, preparing us for what comes next, preparing us for our destinies, preparing us to do things that are of the extraordinary type as opposed to the ordinary. All right, so let's dive in and I'll give you a little bit about what I'm talking about. I feel like my video is lagging this morning. Not sure what that is. Somebody earlier this morning mentioned there was a problem going on with Facebook and the messenger interface with Facebook wasn't working so good. And I think that Be Alive is sort of a platform that utilizes some of that same system behind the scenes. So if it's lagging a bit, I apologize. Hopefully that will fix itself and move on as time moves on here. So we start the day, obviously, with a frog in my throat. I forgot to take my allergy pill this morning and I'm paying the price for it. Even though it rained really good yesterday, I swear that pollen is everywhere right now. It's just kind of crazy. So let's start with the moon this morning. It is at 26 degrees Cancer. I say that because that is my rising sign, exact degree, 26 degrees. And so I'm feeling already the power of the moon sitting on my ascendant as it programs me for a new cycle of the moon, right? The moon moving across your ascendant once a month, and it begins or triggers even something new and something exciting. And I'm feeling that within me this morning. The moon does move void of course for a good chunk of the day, for about 5 hours from 7:11 my time this morning, so about an hour ago, to 12:17 p.m. West Coast time. So for you all on the East Coast, that would be from 10:11 until 3:11 or 3:17 this afternoon, at which point it moves out of Cancer and into the sign of Leo. Hallelujah. We will get out of the energy of some of those heavier emotions. I know some people are feeling it as up and down, like a smooth up and down. Others are feeling it as more of a jagged up and down sort of emotional feeling. And really all of that depends on how your own chart is constructed, where Cancer is in your own chart, and what house that is triggering in your personal chart. So it behooves you to get your own personal charts out in the morning when we do this chat, so that you can follow along with me and look and see, oh, okay, Cancer is sitting on my 7th house. That means there may be emotional things going on in my marriage or my personal relationships, my business partnerships. So you know where all of this might take place for you. And of course, if you need to, I can always stand by ready to do readings for people to help you decode your own human design or your own astrology chart, or even at some point here in the very near future, your own hologenetic profile through Gene Keys. So before the moon moves out of the void of course, or before it moved void of course, let's say this morning, it was in an opposition point to the planet Pluto and also in a sextile to Venus. So these are the transits that we're left with because we're now in the void and we're sitting with that energy. So when the moon moves void of course, it means it isn't making any new contacts with any other planets or points in the chart until, or in the sky, until such point as, in this case, it changes signs and moves, then it makes a point of contact with the sign of Leo and other planets, of course, after that. So whatever planets or whatever aspects there are at the point the moon turns void, we sort of are sitting in that energy for an extended period of time. And with an opposition to Pluto, then we may be feeling some emotional hangovers, right? We may have had some things over the last couple of days while the moon was transiting through Cancer that came up for us. Hopefully, we processed through our own stuff. And if we did, then we may be feeling that backlash, that feeling of, I just want to call it whiplash or hangover from running through all of that emotion. Right? Emotion is sort of, it lights up all the sensors in your cells. And when it does that, turning that emotion back off is a process again that is sort of over time. And we may just be feeling that a bit. It might be an emotional high that you're still feeling the results of. It could be an emotional low that you're still feeling the results of. Either way, don't take it too seriously. Maybe just take a look at it, see if you can drill down a bit and find out the source of that feeling, and understand the moon moves quickly, and this too shall pass with short order somewhere in the day for you. Now, the very last contact made with the moon before it moved void, of course, was a sextile with Venus. So we're actually left with some feel-good feelings. So you may have been through an emotional ringer, and you may still be processing through some of that given the Pluto connection, but you're also feeling pretty good about yourself or feeling pretty good about how you moved through it, even if you didn't do so good, because I'm telling you, I had an emotional blowout the day before yesterday. And if you notice, my glasses are a little crooked. I ended up throwing my glasses across the room in frustration, and of course managed to ring it around my bicycle, which then bent it. I went to the eye doctor yesterday to try to get it fixed. They weren't open. And so my glasses are still I used to be an optician, though. I've managed to fix them a little bit. So it's those emotions, right, that were hung over from however it is that you expressed it. And now we are on the upswing, right, the better side, the better half of that, with optimism in the air as we move the moon out of Cancer and into Leo later on in the day. Londa, thanks a lot. So yeah, it was so funny. I just, in a moment, a fit of pique. I mean, literally a fit of pique. And then I went, oh my God, I hope I didn't scratch those lenses. Oh my God, I hope I didn't pop a lens out. It was too funny, but it felt really good, on the other hand, to release that emotion. And then as soon as I did that, I just left the glasses where they were. I didn't even touch them again for a while. And then I walked out the front door and I went for a walk. Now, I live right on the edge of a cliff, basically. Well, back from it, but I have to walk down this path to get down to the water, and it's a fairly steep walk, and it's not so bad going down. Coming back up, though, boy, is that a great way to let go of some frustration, because you are hoofing it up this hill, and by the time you get, even halfway, you are already winded. I suppose if I were 20 and in good shape, I wouldn't be, but I walked this hill enough that I know what to expect. And I knew somewhere deep inside that it was going to be a good flush of that frustration. And indeed, it was. So I wish the glasses part hadn't happened, but oh well, right? So you may still be feeling that backlash of the emotion, but the good news is we're feeling optimistic and we are ready to move forward here. Leo energy says we emerge out of our shells, we emerge out of our cocoons, and we move to the center. We move to the center of our world, or we ascend to the pedestal of our lives, making ourselves the centerpiece. We feel we're on the verge of something big, and we literally are. Right now, also behind the scenes, building at this point in time, is Mercury in a sextile to Uranus, which comes into exact mode tomorrow. And I'll talk more about that in tomorrow's show, because it's actually happening tomorrow. But it's feeding our ability to gain clarity. It's giving us the clarity and insight to take steps in the right direction for ourselves. And I'm going to leave you with that for a moment, because the next thing I want to talk about this morning, well, first of all, let me say good morning to everybody here. Let's see. Good morning, Camille. It's great to see you. And Michelle, good morning to you. Gail, good morning from Pennsylvania. I love it that we can meet with one another, and we can be, I'm sitting here up in Washington State. She's in Pennsylvania. Good morning, Simona. She's watching us from Romania, where it's 6 p.m. Well, welcome, Simona. I'm so glad that you've joined us today, this morning, my time, this evening, your time. It's all the same, right? Good morning, Asa, and good morning, Londa. Good to see you ladies out there this morning. So, one of the more complex things in astrology is the aspects. I have probably more questions thrown to me about squares, oppositions, conjunctions, and what does all that mean? And that it's confusing, because it's technical, right? It's more of the technical side of everything. But if you think of these connections, these aspects, the squares, conjunctions, the minor ones, even semi-squares, semi-sextiles, they're relationships. Ultimately, they're relationships. So as in your own life, right? You have your close relationships, maybe with your family or your kids, a relationship with your mother or father or your spouse or your coworkers or your friends or your neighbors, right? We have myriads of relationship types in our own lives. Well, the planets and the stars in your chart also have these relationships with one another. Some are more important and are, ground shaking, earth shattering, or, very movement oriented. And others are quiet, right? They're in behind the scenes. They're working their magic, but not in an overt sort of way. But when I call your attention to those small little ones, right, then you go, oh, wow, I recognize that this is working in my life. Well, today we are experiencing just such an aspect. And this is an aspect that is called a sesquisquare or a sesquiquadrate. And I'm actually going to type this in for you up here so you can see it on screen, because it's an interesting word, I think. It's sesquisquare. Say that 10 times fast. If you're a Gemini with Mercury retrograde, you will mess it up. The other thing is called a sesquiquadrate. Spell that right. There's the other word, sesquiquadrate. Oops, there's an extra S in there I didn't mean to have. Hold on, let me get that out of there. Otherwise, that may drive you guys crazy when you go to look it up. Sesquiquadrate or sesquisquare. Essentially, the relationship between the planets in a sesquisquare or a sesquiquadrate is 135 degrees. And I'm going to show you what the symbol looks like for a sesquisquare or sesquiquadrate. It looks like a square, and then it also embodied in it has the symbol for the semi-square. So as you can imagine, 135 degree relationship is the combination of a square 90-degree angle plus a half of a square 45-degree angle. So 90 degrees plus 45 degrees gives us 135 degrees, or the sesquisquare or sesquiquadrate. Now, I think you guys already know that a square or a semi-square are sort of challenging aspects. They are the fuel that gets us moving, right? They are the challenges, the gauntlet that's thrown down in front of you that says, I dare you, take action, or stirs the pot, right? Agitates. And the agitation isn't about, punishing you. It may feel like that sometimes, but it's really about moving you forward in some way. Right, it breaks the deadlock energy, right? Trines and those smoother flowing aspects can get us caught up in sort of a pattern that's can easily get rutted. Then a square comes along, or a semi-square comes along, or a sesquisquare, and it shakes up the pot, or stirs the pot, shakes up your life in some way. So today, what we're experiencing is a Jupiter sesquisquare Uranus. Jupiter representing growth and expansion. And right now in the sign of Sagittarius, where we are holding on to optimism, we are growing and we are moving in a we are able to see the bigger picture of our lives, and we're moving toward that with fast steps in some case, and other times with, kicking and screaming. And other times, we're slow and steady. It depends, on the positions that these planets play in your own personal chart. The planet Uranus is in Taurus, and Uranus in Taurus is slowly but insistently changing our values or causing us to align with those values. There's also a financial component here. It's about putting your money where your mouth is, or putting your money where your values are. And it is also about our relationships in some way, right? It tends to expose or awaken the weaknesses in our relationship. So Jupiter sesquisquare Uranus is one of those background transits that has been happening. It'll happen 3 times in exact this year. It already happened in January, right? I think we probably talked about it a bit in January. It was sort of this restless energy, and it was aiming for expression, and we were waiting for all of those retrogrades to be done, and then we could take off and we could move, right? And then we had that window from about January 6th, I think it was, till the end of February before the first planet went retrograde for this year, where we could actually take and make some movement. Well, right now we have a sort of reprisal of that same energy. We still have planets retrograde right now, so it's not as Zoom feeling as it was back then. But if you've been feeling restless and sort of like, I don't know what direction to go, but I've got to do something, right? You feel like you've been at an impasse energetically. It's time to break the impasse. It is time to connect with your destiny. It is time for you to take that restlessness and take action on your dreams or your goals. And of course, with any transit, those are the higher prospects for that transit. There's also the more negative expression. The possibility is, for some people, that restlessness leads to what I call spaghetti throwing, right? Putting out a bunch of stuff, trying to take action on anything that comes along in a way that isn't correct for you. On the other hand, some of you are wanting to take action, and it's very clear now to you what direction you need to go, but maybe you've just been hesitant to take that action, and now's the time to take that action. So make sure that any action you take on any projects or opportunities that you take steps toward, that it fits you, that it's right for you, right? That's the important thing. And your body is going to tell you the difference. Your mind is going to say, yeah, let's do it. That sounds so good. And I may be very impulsive and take action. On the other hand, you can take action, and in that moment, or even in the thinking about that, your body is going to go through a reaction to it. We're just not as tuned in to our bodies as we are into our minds. But I'm telling you, the mind is an awareness center. In your human design, it has no real power. It has no power of action. It has power of awareness, but not power of action. The action takes place below the throat, right? It takes place in the motors of the body, right? Your ego, your emotional center, your sacral center, or your root center. That's where the action can take place. But in your head, it doesn't. It's just awareness. So in reaction to what your mind sort of opens up for you is a body reaction. You're looking for the body's reaction, not the mind's reaction. Okay? That's going to help you be more clear, of course, on saying yes or no, or moving in certain directions. Does that make sense to everybody? Good morning, Susan Glavin. Good morning, Colleen. Good morning, Jacqueline. Great to see you ladies out there. Let me know if anybody's having any questions, or if everybody understands this. By the way, the next time this aspect will be exact will be in October. So it's like we have these stair steps, right? The first one triggers us. The second one, we go, that's the direction I'm going. And the third one seals the deal, right? The third one goes, yes, I'm glad I made that decision. I'm moving in the right direction. That's the cool thing, right? Okay. Let's see, Patty or Patricia, sorry. I'm finding that patience is coming up so often. And when I want to do something or buy something and I wait and I think about it rather than running toward it, I always find that I was glad that I didn't go for it, because it would have been such a bad choice. I found that by waiting and seeing if it feels absolutely good for me, that I've been led to the right direction. Not easy to do, but I'm so glad that I have been patient. Don't know if anyone else is finding that too. Well, hopefully people are finding that out, Patricia, because this is what we mean by following your type and your strategy and your authority. I could tell just by reading what you wrote there, Patricia, that you are likely emotionally defined. And an emotionally defined person waits for clarity over time before making a decision. Other people know in the moment because they're going with their gut, or they're going with their instinct, or they're going with their intuition. And still others are also knowing in the moment because their body is like, oh, like pulls towards something or repels them away for something from something. So we're all doing things differently. But patience is requested on all types, right? Because if you're a manifester, for example, you're waiting for the right opportunity, the right idea, the right thing that comes along, and you go, yes, right? That, and you take action. If you're a projector, you're waiting for the right invitation. And then you are following your authority, might be emotional. Now I'm going to wait and I'm going to see how this feels. If you are a projector with an invitation and you have egocentric, ego authority, it's that, yeah, I'm going to do this because my will is that I'm going to do this. And so we all have these various ways through which we connect with our power, right? A generator or a manifesting generator, you're waiting to respond to what shows up in your outer world. But you have a very powerful uh, sort of motor help that the other three types don't necessarily have. And that is your defined sacral is always on, and it's always humming, and it's always saying, aha, or in response to what shows up in your outer world. It's like, for example, let's say you're walking through a buffet line, right? You're walking through a buffet line and you see broccoli and you're like, yes, yum. And you grab for the broccoli, right? Or alternatively, you're walking through the line and you see onion and you're like, ah, no, you know in the body that there's no, that is not what I want. So that's what it is with life. Things are always popping up on your screen in the outer world, and you are responding to that through your body's wisdom every moment. It's either pulling you toward it or pushing you away from it. Some of you may just feel it like an instant aha or an instant and the only limiter to all of that is, where is your actual authority in your human design? And that's a completely different conversation, right? Because it flavors the way that all of you are going to make those decisions. So, good morning, Diane. She caught us live this morning. Yay, Serena. Serena, it's great to see you. So, I missed Serena asking for a reading the other day. So, I just have to ask a question, Serena. Yesterday, I think it was on Messenger, I finally got the description of the card I pulled for you to go through. So, I'm hoping that you found that. If not, go to Messenger and look for a message from me, Janet Hickox. It probably won't have come from Living Astrology, although it may have. And there is the description for the co-create card that I actually drew for you on that day. So hopefully you found that. Good. Let's see. Anybody else here with comments? Nope. Okay. So where was I? Okay. Authority. So everybody has a different authority. Some of you have no authority. Debbie Hedden, who I don't see out here yet this morning, she is our reflector in the world. And so she has no authority at all except to wait to see what's being reflected back to her from the conversation she's having with other people, and what kinds of things are showing up in her outer world, or where the moon is and what connection it's making on any given day. Or other planets too can also have an effect on her in that way. So some projectors have no authority, and their authority comes when they speak it to other people and they hear themselves in response. So for example, my son is a projector that is self-projected. Self-projected means he really has no authority, but what he does is he hears what he's saying. So he used to do this all the time when he was a kid. He'd say, "Mom, I need to talk to you." And we'd start talking, but I would never get a word in edgewise, right? It would be all him talking. And at the end, he'd be like, "Oh, okay, I know what to do now." It was so funny. And it's because in the hearing of what he's saying, he's getting his truth, right? He's hearing his truth. So some of you may be that way, and others of you are emotional, like we were saying, where you have to wait through your emotional wave. And in the waiting through the wave, you get clarity. And that's where Patricia Wood's patience comes into play. It's about patience, and it's about tuning in at each moment to what you're feeling. Does this feel good? Does this feel correct? Does this make me happy? Okay. Camille Love says projector, projected by the solar plexus. I'm guessing what you're saying is that you are an emotionally defined projector. And indeed, what happens for you then, Camille, is as invitations are extended to you, because, right, you're waiting for invitations as a projector. And once you get one, what a projector wants to do as soon as they get an invitation is they want to jump, right? Because they're afraid that invitation is going to be rescinded, or there isn't going to be another one coming along, or the person puts a timeline on it and says, well, I need to know by this time tomorrow or whatever. And you are very inclined as a projector to want to jump on as soon as the invitation is there. Instead, as a projector with solar plexus as your authority, you need to wait through the emotional wave. I always say 24 hours or one sleep, right? To get some clarity about what you're feeling. And during that time period, Camille, you are asking the question of yourself, does this feel right? Does this feel good? And notice I'm asking that question in yes or no format. I am doing that because if you don't do it that way, if you say, how would it feel if I took her up on this invitation? It's going to go to your mind. You're going to get in your head. You're going to start comparing and contrasting and analyzing and looking at facts and figures and literally talking yourself into or out of it 100 times. So instead, with your emotional definition as a projector, once you have the invitation, start asking yourself, does this feel good? Does this make me happy? Is this in alignment with my true self? Um, and then you will find your way through the emotional field. And no matter whether you're at your high, your medium, or your low emotional wave, you're going to find that the answer is going to be the same. Or or yes or no. Yes, I want that, or no, I don't. Does this feel good? Yes or no? Exactly. Does this make me happy? Does this feel good to me? Is this correct for me is another one, because you can say or yes or no to that very quickly and easily. It taps you in to your emotions as opposed to your mind. All right. So great question there. Oh, good, Serena. Thank you so much for letting me know that. Yay, yay, yay. Okay. So now, while I'm waiting to see if anybody has a reaction to anything I just said or has questions that needs further clarification, I want to move on to the Pleiadian Earth energy for the day. And you know what I'm finding fascinating? And I hope you guys are finding this too, is that there are these subtle yet almost profound in some ways connections that I'm discovering between the astrology of the day and the Pleiadian Earth energy of the day. And that, to me, tells a lot about what is going on here on planet Earth as we're tuning in to the natural order of the energies and the flow of the way things move, the flow of consciousness, the evolution of consciousness. So today is called 9 self-regulating. The 9 represents the universal energy for the day. So if we were on planet Zeta in the Pleiadian system, and I'm making that up, I don't know if there's a planet there, it would be the same energy as it is for us here on planet Earth today, universally. So everyone is harmonizing today, harmonizing. And the harmonizing is with yourself. The 9 universal energy is called harmonizing, and it is where we make choices that are good for us, right? We're harmonizing with our own inner world. And then self-regulating is where we may be very in tune with having to make decisions, right? We've got to make decisions at some point, and that we're making decisions that are in accordance with the truth of who we are, right? We're making choices to align with our true selves. And on the other hand, if we are going to express the more negative aspect of this energy, it can be confusion, right? It could be all these ideas flirting in our head, flitting around like butterflies, and we can't get them to fly straight because they're all over the place because you're in the wrong place. You need to move down into your body, right? Moving into your body. So 9 self-regulating to me also fits in with that Jupiter sesquisquare Uranus, right? Where we're feeling out of that restless energy. We're starting to coalesce around harmony, a harmony of what's right for us, of what's good for us, of what direction we want to move in. We're seeing the signposts and we're actually listening. We're actually seeing them. We're actually attuning ourselves to them, right? And moving that way. And if you're not, it's okay. If you feel like you're still confused, that is okay too. It might just mean that you need further clarity, right? You're too much up here and you got to move down here, right? You got to get below the throat, down into the heart or to the center of your soul, the seat of your soul, or into those motors, even into the spleen is better than being locked up here. Although the spleen is also has its own issues. So knowing more about you is imperative here, right? It's the number one prime directive. Know yourself. Because if you don't, then you're seeing yourself flitter around, getting only, partial success, feeling frustrated, feeling disappointment, feeling anger, feeling disillusioned, right? Those emotions tell you where your focus has been in the wrong place. In human design, we call that the not self, right? It's valid, and it's not a bad thing, because when you are feeling frustration, you are in the wrong part of your life, right? When I was feeling frustration the other night, I knew that I had been focused somewhere incorrectly, that my thoughts or my emotions were aligned with something that wasn't true for me. And all I needed to do was get rid of that frustration, do what I needed to do, throw my glasses, walk down the hill, walk back up the hill, and dispel that. Although I wouldn't recommend throwing your glasses or anything for that matter, but it was just my knee-jerk reaction. Remember, I'm still learning all of this with you guys. I'm not this perfect up here on this pedestal person. I am still struggling with all this, just like you. And yet I have these tools, and these tools that I want to share with you that help you move through that, because inevitably you're all going to be in that position, right? And we want to know how we can move through it and know that it's okay. It is okay to be in that frustration. But if you look at that frustration or that anger or that disappointment and you go, okay, what is that about? Well, it's because I'm feeling restless. It's because I'm feeling bored. It's because I'm feeling blocked. I'm feeling limited. I'm feeling stuck. And what is it that I can do to move from that to the higher order feelings of joy and pleasure and fun, is to look in the opposite direction, right? So, because it's the other feelings that you want, it's the opposite of frustration, it's the opposite of disappointment, right? So any emotion that you feel that is not a feel good one is a call to be expressing the other side. That's what your desire is, right? To be getting clarity or something like that. All right. Diane Pegrin, I'm such a generator, feeling it more every day. Yay. Gail says, wow, thank you for this clarification of what I'm going through these past few days and today specifically. Very good. Good morning, Allison. She says she just joined. Hello, everyone. Camille, great. Does this feel good? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay, good. Awesome. Possum. I love that. So I love it that we're stacking these transits, and we're seeing the truth through each of the systems, right? Each of the systems that we are playing with here. And each of these systems has its own unique path. And when we learn to start blending them, we can zoom ahead. We see ourselves dimensionally, which brings me to my newest project that I am working on. Yesterday, I put a call out. I need 2 more participants, and several of you have connected with me asking about that. I already have 2 people to join my dimensional astrology program. I'm calling my own brand. I've been struggling with this, right? One of the reasons I threw my glasses and I was all upset the other night is because I couldn't figure out, who am I in this world, right? There are a million astrologers. There are many different human design persons. There are now lots of people doing gene keys or aware of the gene keys. But I don't fit into either one of those, right? I don't fit just squarely into them. And then it just suddenly hit me. It's because I'm living these systems dimensionally. I'm not just looking at one, because just to look at one is superficial. I want depth, right? I want to go through that and I want to go into the next level. And each of those types of astrologies build on each other. So I'm putting together, and I realized I already have all of these parts put together to teach this, to certify people to do what I do. I just have to put them together in a cohesive and coherent way. And it was so fascinating to me to watch this unfold over the last couple of days as I moved through that frustration and that upset, because I just turned it over to God. I just said, and it doesn't matter. You could turn it over to source. It doesn't, don't get bogged down in the words, but I just turned it over and I'm like, you got to help me here because I don't know. I don't know. Yesterday morning, I'm driving along, may have been the day before. No, it was yesterday. I'm driving along and it was like a watershed moment. It all just came in, the whole thing. And it's akin to the time I decided I needed to open a metaphysical bookstore many, many moons ago. It was called Mystic Moon. It was probably the best thing I ever did with my life besides having my kids and raising them. And this was exactly like that. It was like all of a sudden, all the parts, everything, all the signs, everything that I'd been being led to fell into one pile right in me. And it is dimensional astrology. So I sent a call out for some of you. And again, remember our Jupiter square Uranus. Make sure, if you are interested in this, it isn't just to get rid of that restlessness, that this is something you really resonate with. That yes, I've always wanted to work with astrology in a deeper way. Yes, I've always wanted to work with my clients, knowing more about who they are meant to be so I could guide them to become authentic. Or I've always wanted to know more just because, right? But it has to be true. And if so, I left my email address up for people to contact me, and I am sending the details of the program to you. And the program will start July 2nd. That's with the next new moon. And it, I am sure, will be an exciting thing for the participants and for me as well, to be able to hold on to that mantle of teacher and to teach you guys how to do what I do. Right? I don't have kids that I can just pass this mantle to that want to do this. But there are some of you out there that would love to do this. And I'm asking for you to contact me. And I'm taking a group of 4 people through it to start with. And I'm discounting it by 50% for you to do that because I want your feedback. I want you to tell me how it's working for you. Does it need more detail? Does it need less detail? And so it'll be a lot of hands-on with me personally and with materials. So it's probably fairly intense. This isn't something you want to take on if you are planning some major changes in your own life, or that's coming up. So if you're interested in dimensional astrology, learning how to weave together astrology, human design, the gene keys, and the Pleiadian earth energy, contact me at my email address, Living Astrology. Hold on, I'm showing the address for you to contact me, Living Astrology 111 at gmail.com. There we go. All right. So let's see. Good morning, Kathy Miller. Dedicating today on cleaning and organizing my craft room. That sounds very good for me, or to me. Lots of choices whether to keep or throw out, but knowing myself, I have to get this accomplished before I can move on. I'm stagnating. That's such a good point, Kathy. When the other day, while I was also in the midst of this, what's changing in my life and what direction am I moving, I looked around my house and I said to my husband, "Oh my God, this is ridiculous. There's too much stuff, right? Remember, we downsized 2 years ago from a 2-bedroom house to a 1-bedroom house. It's a it's a large 1-bedroom, don't get me wrong, but we still, as much stuff as we threw away or gave away at that point in time, we still have a lot of stuff, and I was feeling very claustrophobic by it because some of that stuff holds energy, it holds the past. And why am I holding on to it, right? If it's something I'm using, great. If it's not something I'm using, well, then why am I keeping it here, right? Why is it sitting on my floor in the corner because I don't know where else to put it? So do that with your craft room. I ran across a tip one day. It was totally amazing, and I don't even know why. Who thinks this stuff up? You know how, I don't know if your closet is like mine, but I have a lot of clothes hanging in my closet and not a lot of space. And this person put this tip out that said, put your hangers backwards, right? And meaning instead of hanging it like this, hang it with the hook part hanging out towards you. And whatever is left there at the end of the year that hasn't been turned around, why are you holding on to that? Right? Take it out of your closet and give it away because you're not wearing it. And I looked at my closet the other day and I went, oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't do that with the hangers. So, I'm not following my own aha on that, but I did look at my clothes and I went, okay, I haven't worn that. I haven't worn that. I don't even like the feel of that material. So why am I holding on to that shirt? Right? So we can release things and let them go that way. So that's great, Kathy. Camille says, that is beautiful. I'm thinking you were talking about the dimensional astrology. So anyway, that is it for me this morning, 8:41. I don't know how I did that in record time, I think. And reminder, tomorrow's Friday. So tomorrow we will do weekend astrology, and we will also take a look at card readings or astrology, mini readings. If that is something you want, make sure you let me know ahead of time if possible so I can pull the chart early or send it to you. If not, then we'll just do it on the fly. Next week is the Change Your Mind, Change Your Life Summit. My part is on Thursday, the 13th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. East Coast time. It is absolutely free for you to participate. And all you need to do to go sign up is to go to changeyourmind.us. Whoops, I put an L there, not a .us. And don't put a www in front of that. If anything, I would just put in the address bar, changeyourmind.us, and let it take you there. And you can sign up for free. And it's going to be great. I mean, there's 11 of us that are doing presentations. You do not have to go to all 11 presentations, by the way. I don't know why you wouldn't want to, though. If you have the time, why not, right? So 11 brilliant genius things that you have an opportunity to tap into beginning on the 11th. So Tuesday is the day of the first class or the first summit interview, and it runs through the 16th. So there we have that. Serena El Quasmi, I would love a reading tomorrow. Won't miss it. Serena, I'm going to need your birth date, time, and place. And you can certainly send that to me. Actually, I'm going to put my email address back up. livingastrology111 at gmail. So email me your birth time, birthplace, and birth date. And that way I can have a chart. And then, if you have a specific thing that you want me to look at, like relationships or finances or health or whatever, let me know and I can focus in on that. Because in the morning here, these are mini readings. They're not, big things. So it helps if I know what to focus in on. And so I better write these down. Serena, Asa, me, please. A lot of conjuncting. Yes. Your destiny is calling you. Allison says I signed up to that. Good. Good. Camille signed up. Looking forward to it. I love it. Opposing South Node. Yep. Serena, thank you. Yep. Good. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I'm going to get to work. I have an article to write. I have next week's astrology to write, and I have a program to put together. I'm a busy writer at this point. It seems like the universe keeps pushing me into writing, right? And writing and producing products like courses. And I haven't been really good at listening, by the way. This idea of doing a certification program, I can tell you there are probably 15 people out there going, ah, because they've been telling me for years to do it. And I've been in total resistance to do it. Timing is just right, I guess, right? Timing is always perfect. It's elegant when it happens, and it's magical and it's mystical. And who knows why suddenly now that I would respond to that impulse that has been out there forever. Um, Timing is everything, right? The right time, right place, right people, right opportunity. It's divine timing. It isn't my timing or your timing if you're the one prompting me to do these things, but divine timing. And the divine timing is apparently now for me to do that. If you'd like more information, you can also email me about that. All right, everybody, take care. Much love to everybody. See you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. East Coast time. Bye for now.